Have you ever bought something you didn't need with money you didn't have to impress people you don't even like? If you're being honest with yourself right now, the answer is probably yes. And don't worry, you're not alone. In fact, you're in the majority.
Here's a wild statistic to start us off. According to research, approximately 69% of Americans have less than $1,000 in savings. Yet the average American household spends over $18,000 per year on non-essential items, things like dining out, entertainment, subscriptions they forgot they had, impulse purchases on Amazon at 2 in the morning. We're spending money we should be saving, and most of us don't even understand why.
That disconnect between what we know we should do and what we actually do with our money, that's not a math problem. That's not even a discipline problem. It's a psychology problem. And today, we're going to dive deep into the hidden forces that control your financial decisions.
Welcome to Money Story House. I'm Marcus.
And I'm Morgan. And if you're new to our channel, welcome to the family. We're so glad you're here. This is the place where we break down complex money topics into conversations that actually make sense. No boring lectures, no confusing financial jargon, just two friends talking about how to build real wealth and take control of your financial future.
If you haven't subscribed yet, now is the perfect time. Just hit that subscribe button right now. I'll wait. Seriously, just do it. And while you're at it, tap that notification bell so you get alerted every single time we drop a new episode. We release new content every week, and trust me, you don't want to miss what we have planned.
You can find us at youtube.com/@moneystoryhouse. The link is right there in the description below. Go ahead and subscribe. We'll be here when you get back.
Okay, so last week we talked about debt, how to break free from the debt trap, how to use strategies like the snowball and avalanche methods to become debt-free. But here's the thing we realized after that episode. Paying off debt is only half the battle. If you don't understand why you got into debt in the first place, you're just going to end up right back where you started.
Exactly. It's like losing weight without changing your relationship with food. You might drop 20 pounds, but if you don't address the emotional eating, the stress eating, the boredom eating, those pounds are coming right back. Money works the same way.
So today we're going way deeper. We're going to explore the psychology behind every financial decision you make. We're going to uncover the hidden beliefs, the emotional triggers, and the mental shortcuts that are quietly sabotaging your wealth. And most importantly, we're going to give you practical tools to rewire your money mindset.
Here's what we're covering in today's episode. First, we'll explore your money story, where your beliefs about money actually come from and how they were programmed into you before you were even old enough to understand what money was. Then we'll dive into emotional spending, the triggers that cause you to open your wallet when you really shouldn't. We'll break down the cognitive biases that trick your brain into making irrational financial decisions. We'll talk about lifestyle inflation and the keeping up with the Joneses trap. And finally, we'll give you a complete framework for rewiring your money mindset with practical exercises you can start today.
This is going to be a packed episode, so grab a notebook, grab a pen, maybe grab a coffee, pause if you need to, and let's get into the psychology of money.
Let's start at the very beginning. And I mean the very beginning. Before you ever earned your first dollar, before you got your first allowance, before you even knew what money was, you were already learning about it.
This is something most people never think about. We assume that our relationship with money started when we got our first job or when we opened our first bank account. But the truth is, your money story began in childhood. And those early lessons, whether they were taught directly or absorbed subconsciously, are still running the show today.
Psychologists call these early lessons money scripts. They're essentially the beliefs about money that you learned from your family, your community, and your early experiences. And here's the crucial part. Most of these scripts are operating completely below your conscious awareness. You don't even know they're there, but they influence every financial decision you make.
Let me give you some examples of common money scripts. See if any of these sound familiar.
Money script number 1. Money is the root of all evil. Now, this one comes from a misquote of a Bible verse, but it's become deeply embedded in many cultures. If you grew up hearing this, you might have an unconscious belief that having money makes you a bad person. So even when you start to accumulate wealth, part of you sabotages it because you don't want to be evil.
I've actually met people who do this. They get a raise or a bonus, and within a month, they've spent it all. Not because they needed to, but because on some deep level, they're uncomfortable having money.
Money script number 2. Rich people are greedy and dishonest. If you grew up in an environment where wealthy people were portrayed as villains, as people who stepped on others to get ahead, you might unconsciously avoid wealth because you don't want to become that person. You might even sabotage your own success without realizing it.
Money script number 3. Money doesn't grow on trees. This one's usually said with good intentions. Parents want kids to understand the value of money, but it can create a scarcity mindset, a belief that money is always limited, always running out, always something to worry about. People with this script often hoard money anxiously or, paradoxically, spend it immediately because they assume it won't last anyway.
Money script number 4. We can't afford that. Hearing this repeatedly as a child can create a belief that you're fundamentally limited, that certain things are for other people, not for you. This can show up in adulthood as under-earning, where you unconsciously choose jobs or opportunities that pay less than your worth because you don't believe you deserve more.
Money script number 5. More money, more problems. If you believe this, you might actually fear success. You might start a business and then unconsciously sabotage it right before it takes off. You might avoid asking for raises. You might stay in your comfort zone because deep down you believe that having more money will just make your life more complicated.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Your money scripts don't just come from what people said, they come from what you observed.
This is huge. Let me give you an example. Let's say your parents never talked about money. They literally never discussed finances in front of you. What message did that send?
It sent the message that money is taboo, that money is something shameful or scary, something that shouldn't be discussed openly. And now, as an adult, you probably have difficulty talking about money with your partner, with your friends, with your financial advisor. You might feel physical discomfort when the topic comes up.
Or let's say your parents fought about money constantly. Every discussion about bills turned into a screaming match. What did you learn? You learned that money causes conflict. Money destroys relationships. Money is dangerous. And now, as an adult, you might avoid dealing with money altogether because it triggers those old feelings of fear and conflict.
Here's another common pattern. Let's say one of your parents was a spender and one was a saver, and they were constantly in conflict about it. As a child, you probably unconsciously chose a side. You identified with one parent or the other. And that identification is probably still influencing your financial behavior today.
This is why couples often have such different approaches to money. It's not just about preferences, it's about deep childhood programming. You're not really arguing about whether to buy the new couch, you're replaying old family dynamics.
Let me share a personal example. I grew up in a household where my dad lost his job when I was about 10 years old, and I remember the fear. I remember the tension. I remember my parents whispering about bills and my mom crying at the kitchen table. Now, my dad eventually got a new job and everything worked out, but that experience imprinted on me.
How did it affect you?
For years, I had an almost pathological need for financial security. I hoarded money. I was afraid to spend on anything that was absolutely necessary. I would have anxiety if my savings account dropped below a certain number. I was so focused on not losing money that I missed opportunities to grow money. It took me a long time to realize that my financial behavior was being driven by the fear of a 10-year-old boy, not by rational adult analysis.
Thank you for sharing that. I think a lot of people can relate. I have my own example. In my family, money was used as a way to show love. Gifts were how affection was expressed. If someone loved you, they bought you things. And if you loved someone, you bought them things.
So how did that affect you?
Well, I became an emotional spender. I bought gifts for people constantly, even when I couldn't afford to. I spent money on myself when I was sad or stressed because that's what felt like self-care. Shopping was my love language, both giving and receiving. And it wasn't until I was in my mid-20s and in significant credit card debt that I realized what was happening. I was trying to buy love and buy happiness because that's what love and happiness looked like.
These patterns are so deeply ingrained that we don't even see them as patterns. We think they're just who we are. I'm just not good with money. I'm just a spender. I'm just anxious about finances. But those aren't personality traits. Those are learned behaviors, and anything that can be learned can be unlearned.
So here's an exercise for everyone listening. We call it the money memory excavation. It's going to take some time, but it's incredibly powerful.
Step 1. Get a piece of paper or open a document on your computer. Write down your 5 earliest memories involving money. Not what you were told about money, but actual memories, experiences you had. Maybe it's watching your parents pay for groceries. Maybe it's getting an allowance. Maybe it's overhearing a conversation about bills. Whatever comes up, write it down.
Step 2, for each memory, write down the emotion you felt at the time. Were you scared, excited, confused, ashamed, happy? Try to really remember what that experience felt like in your body.
Step 3. Now write down what you learned from that experience. What conclusion did you draw about money, about people who have money, about people who don't have money, about your own relationship with money?
Step 4, look at those lessons you learned. Ask yourself, are these lessons actually true? Are they serving me? Or are they holding me back?
This exercise can genuinely be emotional. You might uncover some stuff you didn't know was there, but awareness is the first step to change. You can't change a pattern you can't see.
And the beautiful thing is, once you see these patterns, they start to lose their power over you. When you catch yourself in an old money behavior, you can say, oh, that's my scarcity programming from childhood. And then you can consciously choose a different response.
Now let's talk about something that affects almost everyone at some point: emotional spending. This is when you spend money not because you need something, but because you're trying to change how you feel.
And I want to be clear, we're not talking about occasionally treating yourself when you've had a hard day. That's normal and fine. We're talking about patterns of spending that are driven by emotions rather than needs or even genuine wants.
Let's break down the most common emotional triggers for spending.
Trigger number 1, stress. When you're stressed, your brain is looking for relief. It wants to feel better right now. And shopping provides that hit of dopamine, that moment of pleasure, that feeling of control in a situation that might feel out of control.
The problem is the relief is temporary. Within hours, sometimes within minutes, the stress comes back, and now you have less money, which often creates more stress. It becomes a vicious cycle.
I've definitely fallen into this trap. There was a period in my life where I would come home from a stressful day at work and immediately start browsing online shopping sites. Not because I needed anything, just because scrolling through products and adding things to my cart made me feel better. And when I actually bought something, that rush of clicking purchase, it was like a drug.
And that's not an exaggeration. Research shows that shopping actually releases dopamine in your brain, the same chemical that's released when you eat delicious food, when you have sex, when you use drugs. Your brain literally gets a chemical reward from shopping, and like any chemical reward, you can become dependent on it.
Trigger number 2, boredom. This is a huge one, especially in the age of smartphones. You're standing in line, you're waiting for a meeting to start, you're sitting on the couch and nothing's on TV. What do? You pull out your phone, and suddenly you're on Amazon or Shein or browsing Instagram, where everyone is selling something.
Boredom spending is especially insidious because it doesn't feel like emotional spending. You're not upset, you're not stressed, you're just bored. But you're still using shopping to fill a void, to create stimulation where there is none.
Trigger number 3, sadness and depression. When you're feeling down, shopping can feel like a form of self-care. You deserve this. You've been through a lot. Treat yourself. And yes, sometimes a small treat is genuinely helpful, but when shopping becomes your primary coping mechanism for sadness, you have a problem.
What's tricky about this is that it works in the short term. You do feel a little better after buying something new, but then the sadness comes back, often accompanied by guilt about the spending, so you feel worse than before, and the cycle continues.
Trigger number 4, low self-esteem. This one is subtle but powerful. If you don't feel good about yourself, you might try to buy a better version of yourself. The right clothes, the right car, the right accessories. If I just had this thing, I would be more attractive, more successful, more worthy.
But here's the trap. External things can never fix internal feelings. You can buy the designer outfit and you'll feel good for a day or a week, but then the underlying insecurity comes back, and now you need another purchase to feel okay again.
Trigger number 5, celebration. Wait, celebration? Yep, positive emotions can trigger overspending too. You got a raise? Let's celebrate by buying something expensive. You hit a goal? You deserve a reward. The problem is when the celebration always involves spending money you shouldn't be spending.
I've definitely done this. I remember getting my first big bonus at work and immediately going out and buying a watch I couldn't really afford. I mean, I had the bonus money, but I also had student loans I should have been paying down. But in the moment, I felt like I deserved to celebrate, and celebrating meant spending.
Trigger number 6, FOMO, or fear of missing out. This is especially powerful with sales and limited time offers. The sale ends tonight. Only 3 left in stock. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Your brain goes into panic mode. If I don't buy this right now, I'll miss out forever. And so you buy impulsively, without really thinking about whether you need or even want the item.
Retailers know this. They engineer urgency into everything. Flash sales, countdown timers, limited editions. It's all designed to short-circuit your rational brain and trigger an emotional, impulsive purchase.
Trigger number 7, social pressure. Your friends are going to that expensive restaurant. Everyone in your office has the new iPhone. Your neighbor just got a new car. You feel pressure to keep up, to fit in, to not be the odd one out.
This is the classic keeping up with the Joneses pattern, and it's more powerful than ever because of social media. Now you're not just comparing yourself to your neighbors, you're comparing yourself to influencers with seemingly perfect lives, curated to make you feel inadequate and desperate to buy whatever they're selling.
So how do you know if you're an emotional spender? Here are some signs.
Sign number 1, you often regret purchases shortly after making them. That rush of buying fades quickly and is replaced with guilt or doubt.
Sign number 2, you buy things you never end up using. Your closet is full of clothes with tags still on them. You have gadgets and drawers that you used once or never.
Sign number 3, shopping feels like the only way to feel better when you're upset. You don't know what else to do with difficult emotions except shop.
Sign number 4, you hide purchases from your partner or family. You feel shame about your spending, so you keep it secret.
Sign number 5, you experience a high or a rush when shopping, followed by a crash. It's a cycle of emotional peaks and valleys tied to purchasing behavior.
Sign number 6, your spending is causing financial problems. You're in debt, you're not saving, you're living paycheck to paycheck, but you keep spending anyway.
If you recognize yourself in several of these, first of all, no judgment. This is incredibly common, but it is something you need to address.
So what do you do about emotional spending? Let's talk about practical strategies.
Strategy number 1, the 24-hour rule. When you feel the urge to make a non-essential purchase, wait 24 hours before buying. This gives your rational brain time to catch up with your emotional brain. You'd be amazed how many purchases lose their appeal after a day.
I use this one all the time. I keep a running list on my phone of things I think I want to buy. If something is still on that list after a week and I still want it and I can afford it, then maybe I'll buy it. But honestly, most things get deleted from that list because the desire fades.
Strategy number 2, identify your triggers. Start paying attention to when you feel the urge to shop. Are you stressed, bored, sad, celebrating? Once you know your triggers, you can develop alternative coping strategies.
For example, if stress is your trigger, maybe you go for a walk instead of opening Amazon. If boredom is your trigger, maybe you call a friend instead of browsing Instagram shops. You need to replace the shopping behavior with something else that addresses the underlying need.
Strategy number 3, make spending harder. Remove your credit card information from websites. Unsubscribe from retailer emails. Unfollow brands and influencers on social media. Delete shopping apps from your phone. Every barrier you create between yourself and a purchase gives your rational brain more time to intervene.
I actually went through my email once and unsubscribed from every single retailer. It took hours, but the difference was remarkable. I wasn't constantly being tempted by flash sales and new arrivals. My inbox wasn't a constant stream of reasons to spend money.
Strategy number 4, use cash or a spending account with a fixed amount.
When you use a credit card, spending doesn't feel real. It's just a number on a screen. But when you hand over physical cash, where you see your spending account balance going down, it triggers a pain response in your brain. It makes the cost feel more real.
Strategy number 5. Address the underlying emotions. This is the most important one. If you're using shopping to cope with stress, you need to find other ways to manage stress. If you're shopping to fill a void of loneliness or boredom, you need to address that loneliness or boredom directly. Shopping is a symptom. The emotions are the disease.
This might mean therapy. It might mean meditation or mindfulness practices. It might mean building deeper relationships or finding more meaningful activities. But ultimately, you need to deal with what's driving the behavior, not just try to suppress the behavior itself.
And strategy number 6, track your spending and review it regularly. Sometimes just seeing the numbers in black and white is enough to change behavior. Keep a spending journal. At the end of each week, look at everything you spent money on and ask yourself, was this purchase driven by need, genuine want, or emotion? Be honest. No judgment, just awareness.
Awareness is where change begins. You can't change what you don't see. But once you start seeing your patterns clearly, you gain the power to choose differently.
Okay, so we've talked about emotional triggers, but there's another layer to our irrational financial behavior, and it has to do with how our brains are wired. Let's talk about cognitive biases.
Cognitive biases are mental shortcuts that our brains use to make decisions quickly. They evolved to help us survive in a world where we had to make split-second decisions. Is that a tiger or just a shadow? Should I eat this berry or not? But in the modern world, especially the modern financial world, these shortcuts often lead us astray.
Let's go through some of the most important cognitive biases that affect your money decisions.
Bias number 1, loss aversion. This is one of the most powerful biases, and it's been studied extensively by behavioral economists. Simply put, losses hurt more than equivalent gains feel good. The pain of losing $100 is psychologically more intense than the pleasure of gaining $100.
How does this affect your finances? Well, it can make you irrationally afraid of taking necessary risks. For example, you might keep all your money in a low-interest savings account because you're terrified of losing money in the stock market. But over time, inflation is eating away at your savings. You're actually losing money in real terms. But because that loss is invisible and gradual, it doesn't trigger the same fear response as a stock market dip would.
Loss aversion also makes people hold on to losing investments too long. You bought a stock at $50. It's now at $30. You should probably sell and put that money somewhere better. But selling would mean locking in the loss, making it real. So you hold on to it, hoping it will come back. And often, it just keeps going down.
On the flip side, loss aversion can make you sell winning investments too early. Your stock went from 50 to 70? Quick, sell it before you lose those gains. But sometimes that stock was going to 150. Your fear of losing what you've gained caused you to miss out on much bigger gains.
Bias number 3, the sunk cost fallacy. This is when you continue investing in something because of what you've already invested, rather than based on future returns.
Here's a simple example. You buy a movie ticket for $15. 20 minutes in, you realize the movie is terrible. Do you leave? Most people don't. They stay and watch the whole awful movie because they already paid for it. But that $15 is gone whether you stay or leave. The only question should be, what's the best use of your remaining time? And watching a bad movie is not it.
But the sunk cost fallacy isn't just about movie tickets. It affects major life decisions. People stay in careers they hate because they've already invested years and money in education for that career. People stay in bad relationships because they've already invested so much time. People keep pouring money into failing businesses because they've already invested their life savings.
The way to overcome the sunk cost fallacy is to ask yourself, if I were starting fresh today with no prior investment, would I make this same choice? If the answer is no, that's a sign you should cut your losses.
Bias number 3, anchoring. This is when the first piece of information you receive becomes an anchor that influences all subsequent judgments.
Classic retail example. A jacket is priced at $200, then it's on sale for $100. 50% off, what a deal. But here's the thing. That jacket might only be worth $50. The $200 original price was inflated specifically to make $100 feel like a bargain. But once you saw that $200 anchor, your brain used it as a reference point. 100 feels cheap compared to 200.
Anchoring is everywhere in financial decisions. When you're negotiating salary, whoever throws out the first number sets the anchor. If they offer you $60,000 and you were hoping for $70,000, you'll probably counter with $65,000, when maybe you should have asked for $80,000. The anchor constrained your thinking.
When you're buying a car, the sticker price is an anchor. Even if you negotiate down, you feel good about saving money compared to the sticker price. But the sticker price was never what the car was worth. It was set high specifically to make any lower number feel like a win.
The way to combat anchoring is to do your research before you see any numbers. Know what a fair salary is before you get an offer. Know what a car is actually worth before you set foot on the lot. Come in with your own anchor.
Bias number 4. Confirmation bias. This is the tendency to seek out information that confirms what you already believe and to dismiss information that contradicts it.
In investing, this is deadly. Let's say you're convinced that a particular stock is going to the moon. You read articles that agree with you. You follow social media accounts that are bullish on the stock. You interpret ambiguous news as positive, and you ignore or dismiss any negative information. The stock is going up in your mind, even as the actual stock is tanking.
Confirmation bias also affects how you evaluate financial advice. If someone tells you what you want to hear, you trust them. If someone challenges your beliefs, you dismiss them as not understanding or having an agenda. But the person challenging you might be the one with the valuable perspective.
To combat confirmation bias, actively seek out opposing views. If you're convinced an investment is great, search for why investment is a bad idea. Read the best arguments against your position. If your position is solid, it will survive the challenge. If it's not, better to find out now.
Bias number 5. Present bias, also called hyperbolic discounting. This is the tendency to overvalue immediate rewards and undervalue future rewards.
This is why saving for retirement is so hard. The reward is decades away. It feels abstract and distant, but the money you could spend right now, that's concrete and immediate. Your brain doesn't treat future you as the same person as present you. It treats future you almost like a stranger.
Researchers have actually done brain scans showing this. When people think about their future selves, the brain activity looks similar to when they think about strangers. So, of course, you'd rather buy something nice for yourself today than save money for some stranger 30 years from now.
Present bias is why people take on high-interest debt for things they want now but can't afford. The pleasure is immediate. The pain of interest payments is spread out over months and years. Your brain massively discounts that future pain.
To combat present bias, you need to make your future self feel more real. Some people write letters to their future selves. Some people use aging apps to see what they'll look like in 30 years. Some people give their future self a name and imagine that person as someone they care about.
Another strategy is automation. Set up automatic transfers to savings and retirement accounts. The money comes out before you ever see it. You don't have to use willpower to choose your future self over your present self, because the choice is already made.
Bias number 6, the bandwagon effect. This is the tendency to do things because other people are doing them.
In finance, this shows up as herding behavior. Everyone's buying Bitcoin. I should buy Bitcoin. Everyone's selling their stocks. I should sell my stocks. The problem is, by the time everyone is doing something, it's often too late to benefit from it. If everyone is buying, prices are already inflated. If everyone is selling, prices have already crashed.
Most successful investors often go against the crowd. Warren Buffett's famous line is, "Be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful." But that's incredibly hard to do psychologically. Your brain is wired to follow the herd. Going against the crowd feels dangerous and uncomfortable.
To combat the bandwagon effect, develop your own investment thesis based on fundamentals, not on what's trending, and be especially skeptical of anything that everyone seems to be talking about. By the time it's mainstream conversation, the opportunity is probably past.
Bias number 7, mental accounting. This is when you treat money differently depending on where it came from or what it's designated for.
For example, you might have a savings account for vacation that you refuse to touch while simultaneously carrying credit card debt at 20% interest. Logically, you should use the vacation savings to pay off the debt, but mentally, that vacation money is different from the debt money. It's in a different mental account.
Or consider tax refunds. People treat tax refunds like bonus money, free money, and they spend it differently than they would spend regular income. But a tax refund isn't free money. It's your own money that you overpaid to the government throughout the year. You're just getting it back.
People also do this with windfalls, an inheritance, a bonus, a lottery win. This extra money often gets spent more freely than earned income, even though it's all just money. A dollar's a dollar regardless of where it came from.
To combat mental accounting, try to see all your money as one big pool. Ask yourself, what is the highest and best use of this dollar right now? Sometimes that's paying off debt. Sometimes it's investing. Sometimes it's spending on something meaningful. But the answer shouldn't depend on which mental bucket the dollar came from.
Mental bias number 8, the endowment effect. This is the tendency to overvalue things simply because you own them.
Classic experiment. Researchers give one group of people coffee mugs and ask how much they'd sell them for. They give another group money and ask how much they'd pay for the same mug. The owners consistently value the mug at about twice what the buyers would pay. Same mug. But once you own something, it feels more valuable to you.
This affects financial decisions in big ways. You might overvalue stocks you own because they're yours. You might ask too much when selling your house because it's your house. You might hold on to possessions that are cluttering your life and costing you money because getting rid of them feels like losing something valuable.
The solution is to regularly ask yourself, if I didn't already own this, would I buy it today at its current value? If you own a stock that's now at $80, ask, if I had cash right now, would I buy this stock at $80? If the answer is no, you should probably sell.
These cognitive biases are part of being human. You can't eliminate them, but you can be aware of them. And that awareness creates a moment of pause where you can ask, is my brain playing tricks on me right now?
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground. Let's take a breath and recap what we've learned so far.
We started by exploring your money story, the beliefs and behaviors around money that you learned in childhood. Money scripts like, money is the root of all evil, or we can't afford that might be running unconsciously in the background of your financial life.
We talked about the importance of uncovering these early beliefs through exercises like the money memory excavation, looking at your earliest memories involving money and asking what lessons you learned from those experiences.
Then we dove into emotional spending, the triggers that cause us to spend not because we need something, but because we're trying to change how we feel. Stress, boredom, sadness, low self-esteem, celebration, FOMO, and social pressure.
We discussed strategies for managing emotional spending, the 24-hour rule, identifying your triggers and developing alternative coping mechanisms, making spending harder by removing temptations, using cash or limited spending accounts, addressing the underlying emotions directly, and tracking your spending to build awareness.
Then we explored cognitive biases, the mental shortcuts that lead us astray in financial decisions, loss aversion, sunk cost fallacy, anchoring, confirmation bias, present bias, the bandwagon effect, mental accounting, and the endowment effect.
We talked about how awareness is the first step to overcoming these biases. You can't eliminate them completely, but you can recognize when they might be influencing your decisions and pause to think more rationally.
Coming up in the second half of this episode, we're going to talk about lifestyle inflation and the keeping up with the Joneses trap. We'll discuss how to actually rewire your money mindset with practical techniques, and we'll share some inspiring stories of people who transformed their relationship with money.
We got a question from a listener that I want to address before we continue. Jennifer asked, I know I'm an emotional spender. I've known for years, but I can't seem to stop. I've tried all the tips and they don't work for me. What am I doing wrong?
Jennifer, first of all, thank you for your honesty. And let me say this, if the tips aren't working, it doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It might mean you need more support.
Emotional spending can be an addiction. Literally, it triggers the same reward pathways in the brain as other addictions. And just like you wouldn't tell an alcoholic to just use willpower to stop drinking, sometimes willpower alone isn't enough for spending addiction.
If you've tried self-help strategies and they're not working, it might be time to consider therapy. Specifically, cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, has been shown to be effective for compulsive spending. A therapist can help you dig deeper into the underlying issues driving the behavior and develop personalized strategies.
There are also support groups for people who struggle with spending. Debtors Anonymous is one. Sometimes just being in a room with other people who understand what you're going through can make a difference in your life.
So Jennifer, don't give up. You're not weak or broken. You might just need more support than tips in a YouTube video can provide. And that's completely okay.
Let's talk about one of the biggest wealth killers out there, lifestyle inflation. This is the tendency to increase your spending whenever your income increases.
Here's how it typically works. You graduate from college making $40,000 a year. Your lifestyle fits that income. Modest apartment, used car, cooking at home. Then you get a promotion. Now you're making $55,000. Great, time for a nicer apartment, maybe a new car, more dinners out. Your lifestyle expands to fit the new income.
Then you get another raise, $65,000. Time for an even nicer place, better clothes, a gym membership, upgraded phone. Your lifestyle expands again. And this continues throughout your career. Every raise, every bonus, every jump in income is immediately absorbed by lifestyle inflation.
The result? You make 3 times what you made at 22, but you're no closer to financial freedom. Your expenses have grown right alongside your income. You have nicer stuff, but you still have no savings. You're still living paycheck to paycheck, just at a higher level.
I call this the hamster wheel of consumption. You're running faster and faster, but you're not actually getting anywhere.
What's insidious about lifestyle inflation is that it feels earned. You worked hard for that raise. You deserve to enjoy it. And there's truth to that. But there's a difference between enjoying some of your increased income and spending all of it.
Let me give you a concrete example. Let's say you get a $10,000 raise. That's about $833 more per month before taxes, maybe $600 after taxes. Most people immediately find ways to spend that extra $600. Better apartment, nicer car, more eating out. That $600 disappears into the lifestyle.
But what if instead you put half of every raise into savings and investments? You'd still get to enjoy some lifestyle improvement. $300 extra a month is meaningful, but you'd also be building wealth with the other $300.
Over a 30-year career, that difference is enormous. If you invested $300 a month at a 7% return, you'd have about $365,000 just from capturing half of one raise. Now imagine doing that with every raise throughout your career.
The people who build real wealth aren't necessarily the people with the highest incomes. They're the people who maintain the largest gap between their income and their expenses. That gap is what creates wealth.
Let's talk about the psychology behind lifestyle inflation. Why do we do it?
Part of it is hedonic adaptation. This is the tendency to return to a baseline level of happiness regardless of what happens to us. You get a nicer apartment. For a few weeks, you're thrilled. Then it becomes the new normal. It's just your apartment now. The extra happiness fades, but the extra cost remains.
This is why material upgrades rarely create lasting satisfaction. You think if you just had that nicer car, you'd be happier. And you are, briefly. Then you adapt. And now you need an even nicer car to get that same feeling.
Another driver of lifestyle inflation is social comparison. As your income increases, your social circle often changes too. You might start hanging out with people who make more money, have nicer things, take more expensive vacations. And to fit in, you feel pressure to match their lifestyle.
There's also identity at play. As you move up in your career, you might feel that your external possessions should reflect your internal status. I'm a senior manager now. I should drive a senior manager car. I should live in a senior manager neighborhood. The spending becomes about identity, not utility.
So how do you fight lifestyle inflation?
Strategy number 1, decide on your lifestyle before you get the raise. If you wait until the money hits your account to decide what to do with it, you'll spend it.
Instead, plan in advance. When I get my next raise, 50% goes straight to investment. If the money is allocated before it arrives, it never feels like money you could spend.
Strategy number 2, automate your savings increases. Every time you get a raise, immediately increase your automatic savings transfer. Set it up so the money goes to investments before you ever see it in your checking account.
Strategy number 3, define enough. What would a truly satisfying lifestyle look like for you? Not the biggest, not the most impressive, just genuinely satisfying. For some people, it's a nice home and travel twice a year. For others, it's a small apartment and lots of books. Define your enough and stop when you get there.
Strategy number 4, find your fulfillment outside consumption. The happiest people I know don't have the most stuff. They have the richest relationships, the most meaningful work, the deepest connection to something larger than themselves. When you find fulfillment in those areas, the urge to fill the void with purchases decreases.
Strategy number 5, practice gratitude for what you have. Hedonic adaptation works both ways. Yes, you adapt to new luxuries and stop appreciating them, but you've also probably adapted to comforts you already have. You stop noticing them. Actively practicing gratitude, taking time each day to appreciate what you have, can help break the cycle of always wanting more.
Now let's talk about lifestyle inflation's cousin, keeping up with the Joneses.
This is the compulsion to match or exceed the lifestyle of your neighbors, friends, and peers, and social media has supercharged this impulse. Now you're not just keeping up with the Joneses next door, you're comparing yourself to carefully curated highlight reels from thousands of people.
I love this concept. Big hat, no cattle. All show, no substance. The person with the designer bag might have negative net worth. The person with the 10-year-old Honda might be a millionaire.
When you're comparing yourself to others, you're comparing your complete financial picture, which you know intimately, to their external display, which tells you almost nothing. It's not a fair comparison.
How do you stop keeping up with the Joneses?
First, limit your exposure. Unfollow people who make you feel inadequate. Curate your social media to reduce comparison triggers. This isn't about jealousy, it's about protecting your mental space.
Second, remember what you're actually comparing. You see their car, you don't see their debt. You see their vacation photos, you don't see their credit card statement. Always remember that you're seeing a tiny, curated slice of reality.
Third, define your own success. What does wealth mean to you? Not in general, to you specifically. Maybe it's freedom, not status. Maybe it's security, not luxury. When you're clear on your own definition, other people's definitions matter less.
Fourth, find your tribe. Surround yourself with people who share your values. If everyone you spend time with is obsessed with keeping up appearances, you'll absorb that mindset. But if you find people who value experiences over things, relationships over status, freedom over luxury, you'll absorb that instead.
Finally, practice running your own race. Your financial life is not a competition. There is no scoreboard. The only question that matters is, am I moving towards my own goals? Someone else's progress doesn't diminish yours.
Okay, so we've spent a lot of time diagnosing the problems. Childhood programming, emotional spending, cognitive biases, lifestyle inflation. Now let's talk about the cure. How do you actually rewire your relationship with money?
This isn't about quick fixes. This is about fundamental mindset shifts. And mindset shifts take time and intentional effort, but they are absolutely possible. Your brain is plastic, meaning it can change and form new patterns throughout your life.
Let's go through a comprehensive framework for rewiring your money mindset.
Step 1. Radical awareness. You can't change what you don't see. So the first step is to become hyper-aware of your financial behavior and the thoughts and feelings that drive it.
This means tracking everything, not just your spending, but your emotions around spending. Start a money journal. Every time you spend money, write down what you bought, how much it cost, and how you were feeling when you bought it. Every time you avoid spending money, write that down too.
This sounds tedious, and it is, but it's revelatory. After a few weeks, you'll start to see patterns you never noticed before. Oh, I always spend money on Sunday nights. I wonder why. Oh, I always buy clothes when I'm stressed about work. Interesting.
This awareness alone starts to change behavior. The act of observing yourself creates distance between stimulus and response. Instead of feeling stressed and immediately buying something, you feel stressed, notice that you feel stressed, notice the urge to buy something, and now you have a choice point.
Step 2. Challenge your money scripts. Remember those unconscious beliefs we talked about earlier? Once you've identified them, you need to actively challenge them.
Let's say you discovered that you have a belief that money is bad or that wealthy people are corrupt. Ask yourself, is this true? Is this always true? Can you think of examples that contradict this belief? Maybe you know wealthy people who are generous and ethical. Maybe you've seen money used for incredible good. Allow yourself to develop a more nuanced view.
Write down the old belief and then write a new belief to replace it. For example, old belief, money is the root of all evil. New belief, money is a tool that can be used for good or harm depending on who uses it. Every time you catch yourself thinking the old belief, consciously redirect to the new one.
Step 3. Redefine your relationship with spending. Instead of seeing spending as either indulgence or deprivation, think of it as alignment. Every dollar you spend is a vote for the life you want to create.
Ask yourself before any purchase, is this aligned with my values and goals? Not, is this good or bad? Not, should I feel guilty about this? Just, is this aligned?
If your goal is financial freedom, is this purchase moving you toward or away from that goal? If your value is experiences over things, is this purchase aligned with that value? The question isn't whether you deserve it or whether it's on sale or whether everyone else has one. The question is whether it's aligned.
Step 4. Create a vision for your wealthy life. And I mean a specific, detailed, emotionally resonant vision. Not just, I want to have a lot of money. What would your life actually look like if you had financial freedom?
Where would you live? What would you do with your time? How would you feel when you woke up in the morning? Who would you spend time with? What experiences would you have? What causes would you support? Make it vivid. Write it down. Put images on a vision board if that helps you.
This vision becomes your anchor. When you're tempted to spend in ways that aren't aligned, you can ask, does this serve the vision? When you need motivation to save or invest, you can connect back to the vision.
Step 5. Develop new money habits. Habits are behaviors that run on autopilot. Right now, you probably have some money habits that don't serve you. Maybe you automatically browse shopping sites when you're bored. Maybe you automatically say yes when friends suggest expensive activities.
The key to changing habits is understanding their structure. Every habit has a cue, a routine, and a reward. The cue is the trigger that initiates the behavior. The routine is the behavior itself. The reward is what you get out of it.
To change a habit, you keep the cue and the reward, but change the routine. Let's say your habit is, I feel stressed, I browse Amazon, I feel temporary relief. The cue is stress, the reward is relief. Can you find a different routine that addresses the same cue and provides a similar reward?
Maybe when you feel stressed, you go for a walk, or call a friend, or do 10 minutes of meditation. Same cue, same reward of feeling better, different routine that doesn't cost money.
Step 6. Build your money confidence. A lot of financial anxiety comes from feeling like you don't understand money, like it's complicated and mysterious and you'll never figure it out.
The cure for this is education. Read books about personal finance, watch videos like this one, listen to podcasts. The more you understand, the more confident you'll feel, and confidence leads to better decisions.
You don't need to become an expert. You just need to understand the basics well enough to make informed decisions. How does compound interest work? What's the difference between stocks and bonds? How much should you save for retirement? These aren't complicated topics. Anyone can learn them.
Step 7. Surround yourself with support. Change is hard, and it's even harder alone. Find people who support your financial goals.
This might be a spouse or partner who's on the same page. It might be a friend who's also working on their finances. It might be an online community of people with similar goals. It might be a financial advisor or coach.
What you want to avoid is people who undermine your goals. The friend who pressures you to spend money you don't have. The family member who mocks your frugality. The coworker who makes you feel weird for bringing lunch instead of eating out. Either limit time with these people or have honest conversations with them about your goals.
Let's talk about some specific exercises you can do to rewire your money mindset.
Exercise 1. The values inventory. Write down your top 5 values. Not what you think you should value, but what you actually value. Maybe it's family, adventure, creativity, security, and growth. Now look at your spending over the last month. Does your spending reflect your values? If you value family above all else, but you spent more on stuff for yourself than on experiences with your family, there's a misalignment.
Exercise 2. The net worth calculation. Many people have no idea what they're actually worth. Add up all your assets. Savings, investments, property, possessions of significant value. Subtract all your liabilities, debt of all kinds. That's your net worth. It might be positive, it might be negative. Either way, knowing this number is powerful. Track it monthly and watch it grow.
Exercise 3. The enough exercise. Imagine you had enough money. Not infinite money, just enough. How much would that be? What would your life look like? Get specific. What would your housing look like? Your transportation? Your daily life? Often, people realize that enough is much less than they thought. They'd been chasing a moving target when a fixed, achievable target would make them happier.
Exercise 4. The fear inventory. Write down all your fears around money. I'm afraid of being poor. I'm afraid of looking cheap. I'm afraid of missing out. I'm afraid of being taken advantage of. I'm afraid of making mistakes. Getting these fears out of your head and onto paper diminishes their power. You can look at them objectively and ask, are these fears reasonable? What would actually happen if this fear came true? Could I handle it?
Exercise 5. The future self letter. Write a letter to yourself 10 years into the future. Describe the financial life you hope to have created. Then write a letter from your future self back to your present self. What advice would that future self give you? What would they thank you for? What would they warn you about?
Exercise 6. The gratitude practice. Every day, write down 3 things related to money that you're grateful for. A roof over your head, a job that pays the bills, the ability to afford food, the people who love you regardless of your net worth. This practice shifts your focus from scarcity to abundance.
These exercises might feel a little woo-woo to some of you. I get it. But here's the thing. The logical, rational approach to money hasn't worked for most people. If just knowing what to do were enough, everyone would be wealthy. The missing piece is the emotional, psychological work, and these exercises do that work.
Let's take a break from frameworks and talk about real people who transformed their relationship with money. Because sometimes what you need is not more information, but inspiration and proof that change is possible.
Story number 1. Michael's story. Michael grew up in a wealthy family where money was used as control. His parents gave him everything he wanted materially, but there were always strings attached. Every gift came with expectations. Love felt conditional on performance and compliance.
When Michael became an adult and started making his own money, he developed a pattern of spending everything immediately. He couldn't save. The moment money came in, he needed to spend. He thought he was just bad with money, but when he worked with a therapist, he realized something profound.
Holding on to money felt like being under control again. Having savings felt like having something that could be taken away or held over his head. Spending immediately was his unconscious way of saying, "You can't control me. This money is mine, and I'll do what I want with it." It was rebellion against his childhood.
Once Michael understood this, he could work on it directly. He had to develop a new relationship with savings. Instead of seeing it as control, he learned to see it as freedom. Money saved wasn't money that someone could hold over him. It was money that gave him options. He's now in his 40s with a healthy investment portfolio and a completely different relationship with money.
Story number 2. Janet's story. Janet was an emotional spender, specifically a stress spender. Every difficult day at work ended with a shopping trip. Every conflict with her husband led to an online purchase. Her closets were overflowing. Her credit cards were maxed out.
Janet tried all the usual tips: the 24-hour rule, unsubscribing from retail emails, cutting up credit cards. Nothing worked for more than a few weeks. She'd always find a way back to spending.
What finally worked was addressing the underlying stress directly. Janet realized she was in a job that didn't fit her values, in a marriage that had serious communication problems, in a life that wasn't actually what she wanted. Shopping was her escape hatch, her way of coping with a life that felt wrong.
Janet made big changes. She had honest conversations with her husband, and they went to couples counseling. She eventually changed careers to something more aligned with her values. She started a meditation practice. As her underlying life improved, the need to escape through shopping diminished.
This is important. Sometimes the spending isn't the problem. The spending is a symptom, and treating the symptom without addressing the cause is a losing battle.
Story number 3. David's story. David was a classic lifestyle inflator. Every raise, every bonus, every windfall was immediately absorbed into a bigger lifestyle. Nice apartment, nicer apartment. House. Basic car, better car, luxury car. He made $200,000 a year and had almost nothing to show for it.
The wake-up call came when David's father had a health crisis. David wanted to take time off work to help, but he couldn't. He needed every paycheck to maintain his lifestyle. He was trapped by the very success he'd worked so hard for.
That experience changed David's perspective. He realized that his high lifestyle wasn't giving him freedom, it was taking freedom away. So he made a radical decision. He downgraded everything. Sold the big house, bought a modest condo. Sold the luxury car, bought a 3-year-old Honda. Cut his expenses in half.
His friends thought he was crazy. Some thought he'd lost his job and was too embarrassed to admit it. But David didn't care. For the first time in years, he felt free. He was saving half his income. He knew that if something happened, he could handle it. He could take time off. He could change careers. He had options.
David says the smaller lifestyle actually made him happier. Less stuff to maintain, less to worry about, less complexity. He wished he'd done it decades earlier.
Story number 4. Lisa's story. Lisa grew up in genuine poverty. Her family sometimes didn't have enough to eat. Electricity got shut off. They moved constantly because they couldn't make rent.
As an adult, Lisa became successful financially, but she could never enjoy it. She lived in constant fear that it would all disappear. She hoarded money anxiously. She couldn't spend on anything nice for herself without feeling guilty. She couldn't enjoy vacations because she was too worried about the cost.
Lisa's scarcity mindset, which had helped her survive childhood, was now preventing her from thriving as an adult. She had more than enough, which she could never feel that she had enough. Lisa worked with a financial therapist to address her trauma. She learned that her fear response, while understandable given her history, was no longer serving her. She practiced spending small amounts on herself and sitting with the discomfort until it passed. She learned to trust that she had built something stable.
It wasn't quick. It took years. But eventually, Lisa was able to enjoy her success. She took a vacation without checking her bank account every day. She bought something nice for herself without spiraling into guilt. She still saved and invested wisely, but from a place of intention, not fear.
These stories all share something in common. The financial behavior was never really about money. It was about something deeper. And until that deeper thing was addressed, no amount of tips and tricks could create lasting change. All right, we've covered a ton of ground today. Let's pull it all together into a concrete action plan that you can start implementing this week.
Here are the 7 key takeaways we want you to remember.
Takeaway number 1, your money story started in childhood. The beliefs and behaviors you absorbed before you could even understand money are still influencing you today. Awareness of these patterns is the first step to changing them.
Takeaway number 2, emotional spending is about emotions, not about money. If you're using shopping to cope with stress, sadness, boredom, or low self-esteem, the solution isn't better budgeting, it's addressing the underlying emotions directly.
Takeaway number 3, your brain is wired to make irrational financial decisions. Cognitive biases like loss aversion, anchoring, present bias, and the sunk cost fallacy are built into human psychology. You can't eliminate them, but you can recognize them and pause before acting on them.
Takeaway number 4, lifestyle inflation is a wealth killer. Expanding your lifestyle with every income increase keeps you trapped on the hedonic treadmill. Capturing even half of every raise for savings can lead to life-changing wealth over time.
Takeaway number 5, you're not competing with anyone. The Joneses next door might look wealthy while drowning in debt. Define your own success and run your own race.
Takeaway number 6, Mindset change is possible, but takes intentional effort. Rewiring your relationship with money requires awareness, challenging old beliefs, creating new habits, and often support from others.
Takeaway number 7, sometimes the spending isn't the problem. It's a symptom of something deeper. Lasting change often requires addressing the underlying life issues, not just the financial behavior.
Now, here's your action plan for this week. We're giving you 3 specific tasks.
Task number 1, do the money memory excavation. Write down your 5 earliest memories involving money and what you learned from each one. This should take about 30 minutes, but it will give you profound insight into your current financial psychology.
Task number 2, track your spending and emotions for 1 week. Every time you spend money, note what you bought and how you were feeling. At the end of the week, look for patterns. This is the foundation of awareness.
Task number 3, calculate your net worth. Add up your assets, subtract your liabilities. Know your number. Then set a goal to track it monthly.
These 3 tasks, combined, will give you more insight into your financial psychology than most people ever have. And insight is where transformation begins.
Next week, we're going to talk about building wealth on any income. Practical strategies for saving and investing, even if you feel like you have no money left over. Because once you understand the psychology, you need the practical tools to put that understanding into action.
Before we go, we have a request. If this episode helped you see your relationship with money in a new way, please do 3 things for us.
First, hit that like button right now. It takes 1 second and it helps this video reach more people who need to hear this message.
Second, leave us a comment. Tell us about your money story. What did you learn about money in childhood that you're still working through? What emotional spending triggers do you struggle with? Your story might resonate with someone else who's going through the same thing.
Third, share this video with someone who needs it. You probably know someone who struggles with their relationship with money. Send them this link. It might be the thing that changes their perspective.
And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit subscribe and the notification bell so you never miss an episode. We release new content every week, and we'd love to have you as part of the Money Story House family.
You can find us at youtube.com/@moneystoryhouse. Link in the description.
Remember, your past does not determine your future. The money story you inherited is not the money story you have to keep. You can write a new story starting today.
You have the awareness now. You have the tools. All that's left is the action.
We believe in you. We'll see you next week.
Until then, make your money work for you.
Take care, everyone.